In traditional Yoruba societies, every child is born into a patrilineal clan called Idile Baba in Yoruba language. The clans share clan names, Orile or Oriki, which means poetry or taboos, Ewo, and facial marks, Ila.
The facial marks on the child assigns the child full clan membership rights. The children with facial marks are called Okola. Families or individuals lacking the normal features consistent with the tribe are not considered as acquiring full standing as agents in Yoruba society. They would also lack the capacity for meaningful behavior such as greeting.
Each tribe of the Yoruba ethnic group had different inscription patterns which appears in different sizes and shapes at different locations within the face or body. The location and position of the mark's inscription depends on the tribe and culture. The tribal marks could be inscribed on the breast, arm, lap, or buttocks, but they are usually on the face.
Popular among the Yoruba tribal marks are Bele. The Bele style is 3 longitudinal lines inscribed on the cheeks. The variant includes Bele Ife. It is peculiar to the Ile Ife people. Bele Ijebu and Bele Ijesha are other variants of Bele. Owu tribal marks consist of 6 incisions on each side of the cheeks and peculiar to the indigenes of Owu, an historical city in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, Nigeria. The Owu tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Gombo style, also known as Keke, consists of multiple straight and curved lines about a half an inch apart inscribed on the cheeks on both sides of the mouth. Indigenes of Ogbomoso in Oyo State are usually identified by the Gombo or Keke style of tribal marks.
Abaja can be both a basic and also a complex style. It is basic from its either 3 or 4 horizontal stripes on the cheeks. The Abaja style also consists of 12 horizontal lines, 6 lines per cheek. It is often referred to as Abaja Alafin Mefa. The Abaja style of Yoruba tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Lamidi Adeyemi II, the Alafin Oyo. Other Yoruba tribal marks include Ture, Mande, Bamu, and Jangbadi.
The use of tribal mark as a means of identification and beautification among the Yoruba tribe is no longer a norm, and some Yoruba states have enacted certain laws that prohibit the use of marks. Violators of the law are liable to fines or imprisonment or both. In Oyo State, for example, the prohibition of tribal marks is an integral part of the state child rights law, a law that imposes a fine of 1 month imprisonment or both for violation. According to the law, no person shall tattoo or make a skin mark or cause any tattoo or skin mark to be made on a child.
Prominent people with tribal marks include Olusegun Obasanjo, Lamidi Adeyemi II, Ayo Fayose, Adegboyega Dosumu, Amororo I, and Christopher Alao Akala, Alpha Begore, and King Sunny Ade, to mention but a few.
Did you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the tallest reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
Usual, I am excited today. Like, AY has done a whole lot for people. I'm not just his baby mama, I am his manager. And we all know that Wizkid had he had numbers of baby mamas. And
he said you don't need some leaders of the National Assembly.
The worst form of democracy is said to be better than the best form of military regime. We're trying to build political blocks.
Just days after he defected from your party, I believe the politics taking too far.
Members of the new board of Police Service Commission.
You know, the thoughts of the fact that his seat should be declared vacant because we have some states that have experienced, you know, some level of insecurity.
The headship or the leadership of the Senate or the House of Representatives.
But I have gone beyond that now, beyond partisanship.
I don't think a lot of you know the crisis in the APC.
We know that the people of the country are getting more information about what is happening to us.
With what you know about the person, you will go ask yourself.
But one of the things I've come to observe is that
I'm the Agberu. That made me like this Agberu.
He don't need PVC. He don't need PVC. I was trying to convince him.
News emerged that Jones Abiri, a Bayelsa-based journalist, is out on bail.
And there's nothing, of course, that makes them to have this guy.
As a citizen, first of all, every citizen has the right. What is happening in the society, what is happening everywhere around him.
From that day, Saraki knew that he was a madman in the APC.
He should ask his people who leaked the information. That is his business.
This is not the first time JSS was taking over the National Assembly.
It may be extremely very difficult to remove a Senate president.
But the question is the viability of most of these 91 political parties.
Of course, you can't prosecute that investigation.
It will be easier for you to have those people with the like minds to join you.
On Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website.
Yes, it's a beautiful Tuesday evening here in the nation's capital, and trust me, a whole lot going on in the politics. As usual, we have seen lots of drama, and we're yet to see more drama talking about the polity and the build-up to the elections in 2019. But there's one coming in less than, say, 5-6 days this weekend. It is the Osun elections, where the gladiators will battle it out for the soul of Osun State. Yes, INEC has come out to make very strong statements as regards vote buying and how they intend to make a statement with vote buying. We hope and we're waiting to see what they will do with that Don't forget also that the debate that was held a couple of days ago, one party's flag bearer wasn't there. Well, we saw a few shades that was thrown. Nevertheless, voters will decide who their candidate, who the governor will be for the next 4 years in Osun State this Saturday. Anyway, this is the conversation, and we're looking at a few issues. I've talked about godfatherism, talk about vote buying, talk about the electoral reform, talk about the polity, and all of that. And I have with me here in the studio a seasoned man who understands the political party system, Nigeria, the polity, and all of these issues that I've just reeled out to you. He'll be joining me in a short while, but we're going on a short break. Don't forget you can watch us live across the world anywhere. Download our mobile app via our Google Play Store and the iOS Store. It's PTV Nigeria. You can also watch us live via our website. It's www.ptvng.com/live. Follow us on Twitter and my guest is Sesu Akume, spokesperson of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, yeah? ANRP, Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. Yes, spokesperson. And also, you've been involved with the Bring Back Our Girls movement, yes, as a spokesperson as well. And you've been, a major opinion leader when it comes to national issues and political issues and all of that. First of all, let's get to meet you. Bring Back Our Girls, was one of the things that, put you out there that we basically have known you for. How did party politics get into the business?
Well, the issues about that Bring Back Our Girls, for instance, looks into, if you look at it generally, has to do with issues of governance, has to do with issues of bad governance. Because in the first place, if we had a functional government and we had a proper system in Nigeria, there wouldn't have been abduction in the first place. That was in 2014. We've had bad governance consistently up to now, and that's why we had Dapchi abduction. Unfortunately, we had one of our compatriots murdered yesterday. Sufaira Husseini was murdered by the terrorists yesterday. One of the 3 aid workers who was abducted since March. And so we have these issues, and you can see the response of the Nigerian state. A Nigerian citizen was murdered yesterday, and nobody said anything about it. No official government channel said anything about it. And so when you're advocating and saying, no, this ought to be this way, this ought to be that way, for how long shall we do it? And so we need to upgrade the quality of people who participate in our public sector, and part of the ways through of doing that is through the electoral process. And so we had to come together to form a party that would allow for people of certain minds, like minds, to come together, organize themselves, and play the role, instead of leaving it to people who don't care about our system and who just do things the way they want, instead of standing outside and talking about it. And so that's how party politics came in.
So it was born out of desire to, in summary, make things work.
Yes, indeed, because things are not working, and there's only so much you can say. There's only so much you can do. For instance, in the next election cycle, we're going to vote for a president, for governors, for National Assembly members, for State Assembly members. There's so much all of them can do if we have the right people in the right places. Okay. If we don't have, all we can do is to tell them to do what, for most of them, they don't have the capacity to do and don't even have the mind to do. So it's important to replace them and put the people who are public spirited in those places, and that's one of the means of going about it.
Okay, now your party has been involved in a couple of elections so far since inception till now.
Yes.
How has it been? How have you fared?
Yeah, so our party got registered in December 2017. We're just about 9 months old. In fact, we're 9 months old. We've participated in some elections. We've done fairly well, and we've been building our system organically, and so we're doing quite fine. We're participating in the next elections this Saturday, by the way. Yeah. So the most important thing is to start something, to build, to take baby steps and then to learn to walk and then to run and then we're flying. But the most important thing is to start doing things and to lay a solid foundation whereby you can build on. And that's what we're doing slowly and steadily, but surely.
But don't forget that a few people have criticized the Bring Back Our Girls movement. More like their criticism was the fact that you guys were being sponsored or put together by an opposition to undermine the efforts of the current administration, and boom, a party is out of that now. I mean, back and forth. What does this bring to mind?
No, I don't get a connection, because the party the government you're talking about was a government of the former administration. So when the former administration was in office, we were said, the Bring Back Our Girls movement, for instance, was said to have been sponsored or been, sponsored by the government that is in office today.
Now, yes.
So the table switched. So the issue is, did Bring Back Our Girls shift because the so-called sponsors are now in office? Of course not. So Bring Back Our Girls is regime or administration neutral. And then they kept the consistency, the values, the system, the advocacy, everything on. In fact, tomorrow, the Bring Back Our Girls movement is going to the Villa tomorrow for another protest in the same government that formerly was said to be sponsoring that same movement. So it doesn't. So, but like I said, the whole thing has to do with failure of governance. And so, if I as a person choose to say, okay, beyond doing the advocacy on this level, can we also organize other like-minded people to make sure that we get into the office? For instance, in the U.S. Congress, we have Bring Back Our Girls members. Every Wednesday, they do an advocacy. They take, they do Bring Back Our Girls sit out and they take pictures, and that's the U.S. Congress. In the Nigerian National Assembly, you don't have anybody talking about Nigerian citizens. You don't have, like I said, yesterday one of us was murdered by the terrorists. I've not seen any National Assembly member, not one state assembly member, not one governor, not the president, anybody say anything about a Nigerian. So ask yourself, were this to happen in some other country where there are decent people who know what they're doing? Is that what would have been? So for how long shall we keep saying that this ought to be this way? The best thing is, just like the Chinese proverb says, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. So while we're cursing the darkness, we can also light a candle. And so that's how the whole process is.
Okay, now let's talk about the lone girl from Dapchi who is still in captivity now, Leah Sharibu. We understand that some amount of money, yes, was paid for the other girls that were released, and many have wondered why Leah Sharibu, why is she still left behind? Now that was a question to the Nigerian government. Why was it still she left behind? Yes. The Nigerian government has denied paying money, giving any financial, having any negotiations to these people. But a foreign investigation backed up by the UN has come out to affirm that yes, some cash exchange hands and all of that, and then she's still in captivity. Now they have said that if you don't bring money, we'll kill her. What is the group's position on this, BBOG now?
Well, about that, the most important thing, our position on this issue has been very simple and has been very consistent, very straightforward. The issue is there are three approaches. First and foremost is for the government of Nigeria to use military might, to rescue our citizens and defeat the terrorists. That's one option. The other one is to negotiate with them and give them what they want and then get what you want. That's two. The third option is a combination of both. Use a carrot and stick. Use force and use the negotiation. But the fourth one, which we would not accept, is sitting down and doing nothing and expecting that everybody's going to forget. The fourth option is off the table. So for those three, we've told the government that you're the one who have all the information, you have all the access, so you can determine, you can do weigh your pros and cons and know what best decision to take. So weigh your pros and cons and take the decision. The decision is yours to take. But on the issue of Leah Sharibu, it's a very, very unfortunate one that cannot be explained. How can it be said that 110 schoolgirls were abducted? For 3 days, hardly anybody said anything. There were only denials. And so Chibok girls repeated by itself. The denials and then getting the numbers false and not going for a hot pursuit and recovering them and all the back and forth. April 2014 played itself all over again. and then some were back. The 110, 104 are back. Leah Sharibu is the only one who is still in captivity, and the government hasn't told us why she's in captivity. The people who came back said that, well, the reason it happened was because she refused to convert from Christianity to Islam, and so that's why she is. And so the government is already sending wrong signals, because what does it mean? Does it mean if you're a Muslim, you're protected, but when you're a Christian, you're not? A government shouldn't do that. A government, every citizen is equal, and then we're free to practice whatever religion we want. And so that's another dent on this regime for having made us such an error. And for now, that's how it is. And then the parents are in the dark. They don't know what's going on. But note that I said there were 110, 104 are back. 5 have not been accounted for. The government never said anything that, okay, this is what happened, never accounted for them, never reached their parents to say anything. And so that's where the problem is. And so it's not just with this regime, it's just with the bad governance we've been having since for a very long time now. And so it's very important for people who feel strongly about this to organize themselves and see what can be done to get into that system and upturn it positively in a way that we can start building a nation, because right now we don't have a nation.
But what would have NRP done differently? I mean, if there was such a position, I mean, it's a tight corner.
What is a tight corner?
I mean, negotiating with terrorists, it's quite delicate. You have to do it with lots of tactics and wisdom, so that you don't lose this one Nigerian girl.
Indeed.
So what gives the impression that the government is just sitting down without doing anything?
Yeah, the government is just sitting down and not doing anything, because that's the fact. Because if there were in facts, there should have been information to different people at different times. For instance,
do they have to always come out and
that's what I said.
Like update on
that's precisely what I said. I said information to different people at different times in different degrees. For instance, if it's your own child, I should be able to communicate to you and tell you that we're sorry it happened to your child, but we care so much, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. But for these other ones, just know that you're not forgotten, because that person is a precious Nigerian soul, and every Nigerian is equal. No Nigerian is more Nigerian than any other Nigerian. So what that means is Leah Sharibu is as important as Zara Buhari. That's how important it is. So if it were, for instance, Zara Buhari, who was in captivity, is that how everybody will go about their business? The president will go campaigning and be going about as if nothing's at stake? No. So that's how it is. Every Nigerian is equal. Equal. That's what it means. So you tell the parents, this is what's going on. You tell the community, this is what's going on. And then you tell the public that this is what's going on. That's what any other normal system would do. Not keeping quiet and pretending that nothing happened, and then so that eventually everybody's going to forget about it. Systems don't work that way. Countries are not built that way.
Okay. So in the last 2 or 3 years that the group has been inactive participation now, what has been the achievement for this formation? That is, if we didn't have BBOG, what would we have lost?
BBOG is 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yes, it's getting to 5 years, unfortunately.
Wow.
The advocacy didn't intend lasting for more than a day, because we had assumed that we had a functional system. We thought that if more than 200 schoolgirls are taken, the nation and the administration will be jolted and say, no, what's this? And sit down, fold their sleeves, and do whatever needs to be done to make sure that they're back within a few days, a week maximum. Unfortunately, we don't have that. Up to now, we don't have anything close to that. And so that's what needs to, that's part of the reason that we need a different set of people in our governance system. That's why. We don't need people who lack empathy, people who can't connect with other people's pains. People who, because they're living in a certain way, living off us, forget that there are people who are actually suffering, and that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, that we're insecure, that the fact that we don't have electricity is slowing us down, because the fact that you are living your life on generators funded by the state doesn't mean that out there's electricity. And so there are people who are completely disoriented and have lost track of reality, and that's why it's important for people to organize in order to get into that system. But to answer what BPG has been able to achieve some things, that's not our goal. We wanted all our Chibok girls to be back. 107 of them are back, 112 remain missing, but we cannot discountenance some of the things that have been able to be done. I mean, 107 wouldn't have been back in the first place. There was an abduction of 16 women, Lassa women, including police women. The police denied that it happened. The government kept quiet. It was that movement that kept talking about it. It forced President Buhari to admit that indeed Dapchi women were, Lassa women were abducted, including police women, and that his administration was going to do whatever it could to bring them back. Today, 10 of them are back. The 6 who couldn't come back were identified as police women and were murdered by the terrorists. That's why they're not back, but the 10 are back. There's also the University of Maiduguri lecturers, 3 of them, who of the Department of Geology. They were part of an oil exploration in the Lake Chad Basin area. They were abducted, and nobody was saying anything about it, and that's how it would have gone, just like the Lassa women. It was this same persistence and all of that. Today, all 3 of them are back. The government wasn't saying anything about it, wasn't doing anything about it. And we had to keep fighting, and we had to have confrontations with the police, and to have and all of that, and do it hasn't been fun indeed. But the most important thing is they're back. Dr. Solomon Nehemiah Yusuf, whose wife was pregnant when he was abducted. When she heard the news, she went into forced labor and gave birth to a baby. You can imagine that. So for all the while, Dr. Yusuf was in captivity. He hadn't seen his daughter. The daughter hadn't seen the father. And the wife risks her life from hearing that shock. So these are not just fairy tales. These are life stories of human beings. And so imagine what would have been if he never came back, and if nobody said anything, and the government went to sleep and went about their politics, because for them that's what's most important, instead of governance. And so that's part of what NRP, for instance, always remind the government to focus more on governance than on politics. We do too much politics. Okay. So in 2019, 2018, we're already talking of 2023. When right now our economy is growing negatively, which means more people are losing their jobs, which means life is getting more difficult, which means and there's more insecurity. These are things we should be focusing on, not talking about elections.
Okay, hold your thought there, Sesu Akume. I have been speaking with Sesu Akume, spokesperson of ANRP, yes, Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. We'll be back in a short time, and we need to get the policies and what the party stands for, as well as his take on a few other national issues. But don't go anywhere, it's the conversation here on People's Television.
People's Television Nigeria has gone mobile. You can now watch PTV Nigeria on the go anywhere in the world. For real-time notifications, just go to Google Play Store if you're on Android, or Apple Store if you're on iOS. Search for PTV Nigeria. Download. It's free. It's easy. And now you can catch up with the latest news, analysis, and political discourse on the go. So stay connected with PTV, Nigeria's #1 online TV.
Welcome back. It has been the conversation, and have been speaking with Sesu Akume, and he's been here talking about a few issues, and extracting some of the activities that he's been part of, talking about ANRP as well as BBOG. But let's talk about some of the policies of this government now. Let's look at the Nigeria-China trade ties now. We've had, first it started with the currency swap, the Nigerian-Chinese currency swap, that made it easy for Nigerians to do business directly from to China or with China, and also for them to do business with us directly. We don't have to go through the dollar and get business done. We can take our naira or get Chinese yen straight up and do our business there. Yet a few people came and criticized the system. Can't we just get it right once with this administration? What exactly is your thoughts on that? And then he moved from that to taking a loan, and many credit out the loan. But we have seen our railways are working. We've seen more rail tracks set for to connect more cities, especially business hubs or cities that are open to business, like the Aba, like the East-West area, like the Ibadan, Lagos, like all of this. We've seen all of this, and I've used it. I mean, I've traveled by train, in the like some few months ago. Now, what exactly is your take on this relationship? All of this bilateral relationship. What's your take on that?
You traveled from where to where?
From Abuja to Kaduna.
Oh, okay.
Yes, by
train.
Train, and it was smooth and seamless.
Yeah, that's nice. No, that's nice. The Abuja Kaduna train system. I've not used it before, but everybody who has praised it. So it's nice. You wouldn't blame Nigerians. You wouldn't blame us about anything. You wouldn't blame us about our criticism of the regime. You wouldn't blame us about criticizing their. You wouldn't blame us about criticizing their policies or how they go about it. First and foremost, the regime itself is uncoordinated. What do I mean by this? When the issue of a currency swap, that's yuanization, came up, most people commended it. I inclusive. So many other people did so. When they went to China, they said this is what they were going to do. Whilst in China, the governor of the CBN was saying one thing, the Minister of Foreign Affairs was saying another thing, the SA on new media was tweeting another thing. These were three contradictory statements, all of them from China. And then they had to reverse themselves. And they kept sending wrong signals. Who is to blame about this? When they came back from China, there was no unification. You notice that it's not this year it started. They started having that discussion then. So, was there any time the government sat down and explained to Nigerians what this thing means? They didn't. They only made a policy pronunciation. Everybody had to go scampering around to study what it meant and asking those who knew to tell them. That's not how to lead the people. You first and foremost explain why this is important, break it down, and get a buy-in so that you don't get any opposition and so that the mission and why you want to do it succeeds. And then you have one messaging. You don't have a CBN governor saying one thing, a Minister of Foreign Affairs saying another thing, and then a presidency spokesperson saying a third thing. And then in the end, you don't even implement it. And so that's the issue about that. About loans in China is the same thing. Just recently, we collected $322 million, which was said to be stolen by the late military dictator Sani Abacha. We decided to share the money amongst people we say are the poorest of the poor Nigerians. The question our own party asked was, okay, you're giving them these handouts now. We know how a conditional cash transfer works. We know how it has worked in Nigeria before and failed. We know how it's been used to run politics in Nigeria. We know all of that. Coming from where we've been and where we are now, how is it sustainable to give people cash every month to live by? And then what if the cash gets finished? What value are you going to get after that? What is the sustainability of that? Those are the questions we asked. So after you've had money and you decided to share it to people, you now go and borrow. How does that make sense? That you had money which you could have used to set up systems that will sustain themselves and help other systems to grow. You decided to give it to individuals, to share it to individuals. And then now you decided to go and borrow at an interest rate, at a high interest rate and opaque conditions that we citizens can tell. How are we supposed to respond to it? At the same time, Sri Lanka, China is taking over Sri Lanka because they took loans from them that they have not been able to pay. It's not just Sri Lanka, it's happening on this continent. And so there are other countries where because they are indebted to China and because the loans, the way they are structured, they're not going to be favorable to you, they're favorable to them. And China has an agenda on Africa, to colonize Africa, and it's happening. So why would you walk with your 2 feet and go into a trap and then put us into a debt that we don't even understand? Why are we not supposed to say anything? By June 2015, our debt profile was at 12.12 trillion naira. In the past 3 years, it has grown by 10 trillion naira. What did we borrow the money to do? Is it train? Is it train lines? If I ask you, you wouldn't be able to tell me. For all the monies that have been said to be recovered from all the people who stole money, who were said to have stolen money and all of that. So where's the money? What is it being used for? No response. There hasn't been transparency in the communication. There's no transparency in what they're doing. There's no articulation of what's going on. And so we get concerned. And so that's why we ask all the questions we do. And quite frankly, for all the questions we've asked, we've never got any answers. I'll ask you again, who is the president's economic advisor? Do you know his name? It's not that important to them. We don't know who the person is. We don't know who is coordinating our economic policy and driving it. We don't know who's doing that. And so how could you have come into governance to say that you're going to fix the economy, that's fix electricity, create jobs, fix the economy, fight corruption, and create more opportunities, and we don't know who's handling the economy? And we don't have the key questions we don't have anybody to answer them. So how do we proceed from there? That's why for many times we just know that the administration, quite frankly, doesn't know what it's doing. And so that's why we need to come back. And that's part of the reason I told you that ANRP had to come up, so that we can ask ourselves these questions. What can be done better? What can we do better? And have those engagements and come up with what can be done and what can be done better, and to get feedback and criticism on what our policies are, so that these are things that can be done, actually. It's not that difficult. I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm only saying that it's not difficult the way people, incompetence makes it look like.
Okay, let's talk about some other aspects. Let's look at the issue of the electioneering issue now. I mean, your party has come out and duly registered. I was going through your website. There seems to be some very nice coordinated process to probably getting being a member, paying your dues, inviting somebody, reading about the party, and all of that. And many would say they start. The news, so it's still fresh. What's your take on that? I mean, if you peradventure get into office, any political office, what would you still maintain the system? Yeah, you think the stress of governing and maintaining a party system wouldn't be so cumbersome? Yeah, so we've looked at all of that. In our own party, it's already stated there. People who run the system, office holders, don't run the party. The party has its own system that runs by itself. So today I'm spokes for ANRP, assuming that I become an office holder. I cannot be spokes of ANRP any longer. So I would have to relinquish this position. There will be an election, someone will succeed me and do that. So there's the system that runs, and then the people who face the governance. And so that's how it's structured. So the party can be growing. We will be doing what the party wants to be done. And if we don't do what the party wants to be done, the system is so powerful that it can get us out of office. How true is that? We know politicians in this country are very powerful. No, but that's part of what systems like ours want to address. Why is the politician that powerful? Where did he derive his powers from? Where did he derive his powers from? Even the government itself is too powerful. Very true. Yeah, because our own system, our own constitution says that sovereignty belongs to the people. It is from these people that the government derives its own power through the constitution. So where the government is so powerful today that use sirens to chase us off the road and use armed mopo to intimidate us, where did they derive the powers from? They derive the powers from us, the people, through the constitution. So for no reason should the government be more powerful than the people. We've invented the process. It's because we have not been practicing a democracy. We've only been practicing civil rule since '99. And the people, the opportunists who got into the system first, knew this thing, and then they abused the system and they want to keep it that way. And these are the things we want to upturn. So I belong to a political party. The party has supremacy. The party, I can't, if the party says we can't do this, I can't say I want to do this. The party would pull me aside and tell me this is not what we said. So how I said that in our own party, like you already stated, we put premium on membership. We don't want a crowd. We want members. So we have a database. We have a neat database that's kept at our National Secretariat.
It's electronic. Even when people register offline, we still put them on our electronic database. So we have a database, we know who our members are, we have their phone numbers, email addresses, age ranges, and gender, and all of that. Yes, we're doing that deliberately. The point is, if you become an elected official, our party members can always organize themselves we have structures from the ward, local governments, states, and national levels. They can always organize themselves using their register because we have a functional register. They can simply coordinate, call each other, coordinate and say, we don't like this person any longer. So it's easy to get the votes to vote you out, to recall you if we want it. Because we started with the right foundation because we have a neat register. We know who our members are. Not what the charade that happened in Kogi, whereby they couldn't get the electorate together, organize them to recall that person they wanted to recall. For us, we've gotten that system already. The day politicians start fearing the people is the day we would have had our liberty. For now, they're too comfortable.
Okay, now let's talk about, like I said, electioneering now. Let's look at the cost of purchasing nomination forms. Now, I don't know what your party pegs their price at, but we've heard lots of outcry at the price that top 2-3 political parties have pegged their as, and it is really outrageous. But their defense is they run a party, they run a system, and you have to fund a party. You need money to fund a party. I mean, doesn't that defense hold water for you?
It doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold water because...
Don't forget, the bigger your party becomes, the more money you will need.
It doesn't hold water. Those people are built on the wrong foundation. Ours is built on the foundation of, like I said, membership. It's built on a foundation of collective ownership. It's built on a foundation whereby when you're a member, you pay your dues.
So is the party supposed to survive on dues?
Yes, indeed. Otherwise, how do parties survive on? Look,
what are the advantages that the party have that they have people in high elected positions?
Okay, so fine. I like it that this conversation is going that direction. If a party has people in elected positions, what next? Where are they getting the money to fund the party? If it's the people in office we're depending on, where are they getting the money to fund the party?
I mean, they have allowances. We're not saying anything outside the constitution. We're saying
people
know that politicians in this country, by their due allowances, earn well.
So this is part of what we are fighting. Why are politicians paid higher? We want politicians to place on a minimum wage. It's not that today you are just an average Joe like the rest of us. Tomorrow you become a politician elected into office, and then you become a rich person all of a sudden. Who does that? It's an aberration that we have a National Assembly that is the highest paid in the world. It's not right. For how long shall we keep doing this? So we're supposed to have moderate earnings. So if you want extra, you work extra, you do business, you do whatever you need to do. Now, if I'm so rich as an elected to fund the party, how can the party hold me responsible? Because he who pays the piper takes the tune. So it's a slow process, but we need to build it that way, of having members own the party by contributing a little, making donations, and then raising funds through that means, not through politicians. If you do that, then you can build a structure that you can depend on. We're not building our own party for 2019. We're not building our party for 2023. We already have 2118 in mind, the next 100 years in mind. So we're building slowly and steadily. But when we get it right, when we've built a mass movement, when we have members that get what we're talking about, we would have built a critical mass that cannot be reversed. That's what those other people do not bank on. So, like I said, having a form to cost 40-something million naira, how does it make sense? How does a normal person, a normal Nigerian, remove 40-something million naira to purchase a form? Where do they get the money from? If you pay that kind of money, what else are you going to be doing? When you get into office, how are you going to be recovering that money? So the cost of elections are high, but it's deliberately so.
It's a system issue. So it's not a party issue. It's a system issue.
Who fixes the system? When we call it a system, what is the system? We have to break down the system and say, you know what, in my own little corner, I will do things properly. That's how it comes together to form a system. So when you do a wrong thing and blame a system, you're part of the problem. So you don't exclude people through high fees. You don't do that. You make it something that every hardworking person, every reasonable person, every average Joe can afford. Because the issue here is, it's not business we're going into. We're going into public service. So if I'm supposed to call 5 million naira to just purchase a form, purchasing a form doesn't guarantee that I'm going to win. So which means I'm gambling with 5 million naira. So the stakes are already high. When I get into office, I need to make 100 million naira to make up for that. And so the same system we're talking about keeps getting more corrupted. Okay. So we need to correct it at every stage where we are.
Okay, it's really been deep with you, Sesu Akwe. But I mean, time is really fast spent. But quickly, vote buying now. It was the order of the day in Ekiti.
It's a shame.
It was the by-elections we saw in Kogi, in Katsina, and in Bauchi. It was a major issue. Indeed. As low as 100 naira to as much as 5,000 naira. And many are asking, is this how low we have come to? You know, but what is your party saying on this matter?
No, our party has condemned vote buying in total. Has blamed INEC, blamed the police. Task to make sure that they stop that thing. The Electoral Act is very clear. In section 125, 126, 129, 130, it's very clear.
But INEC does not have any constitutional powers to prosecute anybody on vote buying.
INEC does not have constitutional power. Who said INEC doesn't have constitutional powers to prosecute? They do. They're just not using their powers. INEC plays the victim. They sit back and blame the system and blame everybody. There are pictures of an INEC official collecting money. You didn't see them? There are pictures. If there's vote buying, there's supposed to be a booth. Someone goes into a booth. There's no secrecy. They show somebody their voter slip where they voted to go and collect money. And INEC is overseeing that process, and they're saying they don't have any powers to prosecute. What does that mean? Why do you have officials there? Tell the people that this is not allowed. If you don't do so, the elections won't hold, and they're going to be afraid and comply. Get law enforcement to arrest the people who did the vote buying, both those who are paying and those who are receiving. The other side of it is, I'm sorry to say, but this regime, this government in office, is also promoting vote buying through various means. Why is it that the trader money scheme was done in Osun when there is just days away to elections? Why did they release the monies to pay salaries just days before? That's just a technical way of buying the vote.
No, pay salaries is wages. I mean,
yeah,
you work for
wages. Why didn't they pay for all that while? Is that the only state that needs to pay wages? There's so many states that need to pay wages. And then it coincidentally happens to be Osun, and then it coincidentally happens to be when elections are around the corner. Aside giving traders money, 10,000 naira, and that. It was
it
didn't start in Osun State. I didn't say it started in Osun State. I'm just talking about the time. Okay. I was just talking about how smart and how people do that. So there's the brazen one whereby you vote.
It's been an amazing time with you on the conversation. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Sesu Akwe, National Publicity Secretary of the ANRP, and also been largely involved with Bring Back Our Girls as well here in the country. We'll be talking about a whole lot of things, and time is fast spent. The news comes in less than 10 minutes. Yes, 10, 11 minutes. Thank you very much for watching. See you same time next week. I'm Daniel Mwaboche.
On Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website, www.ptvng.com. Subscribe now and join the conversation online. People's TV, people's preferred station.
Did you know that PTV remains the best place to showcase those lovely goods and services of yours? Yes, with our visibility in 36 states of Nigeria and over 50 countries of the world, we definitely have the talent reach. What are you waiting for? Book your adverts now. Call us with the number displayed on your screen.
soldiers helping Nigerian soldiers fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislatures.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law. I personally dissociate myself completely.
From this interview, because you have said
there had hardly been any administration.
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
We got a 24/7 light, we got water, we got the best amenities, and when I don't feel like going out, I just watch TV.
Nice. Star Times, right?
Come on, man. Can you get Fox TV on Star Times? Ebony Live TV? Discovery Family? Please.
Yes, no.
We get all that and more channels safe. The Star Times Classic Bouquet Reloaded is the best deal.
The best?
Well, if you're paying over 10,000 Naira for a cable plan, then it has to be good.
Thank you, kid. We pay 1.9.
Choose it.
Get the best deals on channels like Fox TV, Ebony Live TV, ST Nollywood Plus, Discovery Family, and much more with Star Times Classic Bouquet Reloaded for only 1,900 Naira from September 1st to October 31st, 2018. Don't miss out on all the drama, action, and comedy on Star Times. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Sunana Yakubu, amma an fi sani na da Yax. Abu mafi mahimmanci shine har yanzu muna zaune da ƙwayar cutar polio a ƙasar mu. Wasu sun san digon rigakafin polio, wato digo biyu da ake bada na baki. Wasu kuma ba su san da haka ba. Wasu suna tunanin wannan digo guda biyu sau ɗaya kawai ya wadatar. Shin digo biyu ya wadatar? Bari mu bincika. Yaya aiki?
Lafiya kalau.
Digon mai guda biyu kawai zai isa soya kosai?
Ba zai isa ba.
To, ta ce ba zai isa ba. Ina zuwa. Na gode. Shin za ki amfani da digon nono guda biyu kawai ki dama fura?
A'a ba zai yiwu ba gaskiya. Saboda nonon ne yake taimakawa wurin dama fura.
Na gode. Tambaya nake, shin digon ruwa biyu kawai zai isa haɗa shayi?
Ai ba zai yiwu a haɗa ruwa da shayi da digon ruwa biyu ba. Dalili kuwa ai ba zai isa mutum ba. Dole sai ya kai kaman kofi ɗaya.
Barka da.
Barka gare.
Da Allah tambaya nake so yi.
Allah sa na sani.
Shin digon man fetur guda biyu, digon man fetur guda biyu zai isa ya sa wannan mashin aiki?
A'a ba zai sa shi aiki ba gaskiya.
Dalili fa?
Saboda ai bai wadace shi ba.
Haba.
Kwarai da gaske.
To nan ina zaka?
Dan je nan bayani.
Da Allah bari in bi ka. Labai na wani?
Lafiya lau.
Kwayan gishiri biyu kadai. Shin zai isa ya sa naman nan daɗi?
A gaskiya ba zai isa ya sa naman nan daɗi ba. Sai an ɗan sa gishirin da yawa tukuna sannan a haɗa sannan ya garwaye naman har ya yi daɗi.
Na gode. Kuma yadda muka je, digo biyu kawai bai sa ya wadatar da wani abu mai ma'ana ba. Haka ma digon rigakafin polio. Dole ne yaro ko yarinya su samu digo biyu akai-akai na rigakafin polio. Wannan digo biyu akai-akai shi zai wadatar wajen kare yaro ko yarinya daga kamuwa da cutar koko kowace irin cutar polio.
A classico, I tell you, my 3 points is clear.
Yes.
Eh? They go watch match.
Okay, what do you want me to do about it?
Give us light.
That's the only thing you've been saying since you came into my office.
Maybe your work be that.
No, it's my work, but see.
Our government fit do their work if we self do our own work. No just sit down. Carry wetin dey worry you, go meet who suppose solve am.
Disco music is so... What's that word, Seth?
Raz?
Raz!
Hang on, let me check for something.
Oh.
I've got some classics.
Tupac.
Mozart.
Very Raz.
What about Vanilla Ice?
Also Raz. Look, guy, I need something fresh for this journey. Something to keep me alert and focused. Or else this is a solo assignment.
Cool down, let me... What's this? PVC?
Wait, give me that. Come. How on earth did it get there?
Guy, relax now. It's not like it's of any use.
Look, yes, the elections are over. But we need to keep the flames alive by playing an active part in making our voices heard.
Elections don't finish, but the time to close mouth never reach. Make we get involved, because now when we participate, Naija go better.
What about the original soundtrack for the movie Pretty Woman?
See you, if we not talk, nothing will change. See, don't look government, inna the rain again. Start or join group to solve problems for your community.
My name is Femi Anikula Kokuti. This is just to tell you, beg you, plead with you. Don't let anybody lure you into being violent. It's very important for us to have a peaceful elections. We need to think about the future of this country, of our children. We can be a great nation. And the first step is desist from being violent. Let's have a peaceful elections. My name is Femi Anikula Kokuti. This is just to tell you, beg you, plead with you. Don't let anybody lure you into being violent. It's very important for us to have a peaceful elections. We need to think about the future of this country, of our children. We can be a great nation. And the first step is desist from being violent. Let's have a peaceful elections.
asking Nigerian voters to fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused. Executive order should comply with the law.
I personally dissociate myself completely. Personally.
From this interview, because you have said
there had hardly been any administration.
Under the law, no religious body in Nigeria
validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is.
On Facebook, like our page and share our posts at People's TV NG. On Twitter, follow us at PTV_NG. Follow us on Instagram at PTVNG. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, People's TV. Visit our website, www.ptvng.com. Subscribe now and join the conversation online. People's TV, People's Preferred Station.
Tribal mark is the scratching, etching, burning or cutting designs, pictures or words into the skin as a permanent body notification or modification.
The practice of tribal marks have been in existence for hundreds of years, and they are not peculiar to Nigeria, not even Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, tribal identification and facial stripes became important as many repatriated slaves later reunited with their communities by looking at facial stripes.
The major purpose of tribal marks is for identification of a tribe, family, or patrilineal heritage, symbols of beauty, creativity, and keeping of mischievous people alive, which is known as Ila Abiku among the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria.
Yorubas trace the origin of tribal mark to a certain king named Shango, who sent 2 slaves to a distant country for an important mission. When the slaves returned, Shango, the king, found that one slave had achieved successfully what he had been sent to do, while the other had accomplished nothing. The king therefore rewarded the first with high honors and ordered the second to receive 122 razor cuts all over his body, which was to serve as a punishment for flaunting the king's assignments.
But when the scars healed, the appearance of the face of the slave was remarkable, which gave the slave a greatly elegant look, which took the fancy of the king's wives.
Shango therefore ordered that cuts should in future be given not as punishment, but as a sign of royalty, and he placed himself at once in the hands of his subjects to get them out. However, he could only bear 2 cuts, and so from
In the news tonight, outrage over aid workers' death. Amended electoral bill. CUPP-APC on war path. Hello and welcome to PTV Tonight. I am Aisha Jibrin. The Bring Back Our Girls movement is agonizing over the killing of aid worker Shafura Hussaini Ahmed by Boko Haram insurgents. She was one of the 3 Red Cross staff kidnapped 6 months ago from an IDP camp in Borno State. They also urged the Nigerian authorities and the international community to ensure the rescue of other captives from the insurgents' camp. Polam David reports that the activists staged a peaceful protest at the Red Cross office in Abuja.
Seifura was a midwife in a UNICEF-supported center. Until 6 months ago, she was taking care of internally displaced persons in Ran in Borno State. That was when she was abducted alongside 2 other aid workers, Alice Loksha Ngada and Hawa Muhammad Liman, during an attack on the facility. Now, she has been shot dead by her captors. This has led to public outcry, followed by protest marches.
Yesterday's victims were once survivors. Today's victims were yesterday's survivors. And tomorrow's victims will be today's survivors. Today's survivors are you and I today who are alive. Saifura has been killed by terrorists. They put a bullet in her head. They made her to kneel down. They did a video.
Just finished a meeting with the head of delegation of the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross here in Nigeria, together with his team. We came because we're agonized and in grief at the loss of Saifullah Hussein Ahmed, a staff of ICRC who had been abducted on the 1st of March with 2 other nurses working at the IDP camps in Borno State. We had previously, in the course of the abduction, reached out to both the ICRC and UNICEF to demand for very concerted effort at getting the government of Nigeria to do everything necessary to secure the release.
The protesters who first gathered at the Unity Fountain then headed straight to the Red Cross office demanding justice.
We have lost a colleague. We are grieving for the loss of a colleague, and our hearts go out, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of, to the family of Sahura, to her friends and colleagues. We have accepted the request for the meeting by the Bring Back Our Girls campaign out of respect that we have for the movement and the work that they are doing. But as I said, our office is closed today, and we are asking the media to respect the grieving process that we are going through, to respect the privacy of the family of Sahura and the other abducted women.
The next stop was the UNICEF office.
But you understand, or you will agree with me, that given the sensitive issues that are involved around these things that we all regret, this abduction and what happened yesterday, I would suggest that you come with maybe 2 of your colleagues to my office and we talk there. I, frankly speaking, don't think that it would be appropriate to talk about those issues in public or in this current setting.
The protest leaders were ushered in for talks, and afterwards, they provided an insight into the discussions.
Get us in for the meeting. He was very apologetic to the movement. He said he was very sorry in not responding at the time that the request was made when the girls were abducted to have a meeting with the movement. He said lesson learned, and that it will not happen again. So I need to thank all of you.
The protest movement says now is the time to move fast to get the remaining aid workers out of harm's way. This, they say, is because of Boko Haram's threats to kill the others. So the next stop for the protesters is the presidential villa. Palum David, PTV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, has condemned the killing of the aid worker. Saraki made this known in a statement issued on his behalf by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Yusuf Olaniyonu, in Abuja. He said the killing of aid workers represents a new low by Boko Haram insurgents, while calling for immediate action by the military to ensure the release of Leah Shuaibu and the two others. The UN and other international agencies have also condemned the killings of the abducted aid worker. In separate statements, the United Nations and the Red Cross commended the killing of one of the 3 aid workers abducted earlier this year by the Boko Haram in Borno State. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, has charged troops in Plateau State to be decisive in dealing with armed bandits and other criminal elements. Buratai charged them to be tough on those that are bent on disturbing the peace by killing and maiming citizens. The Army Chief said the situation whereby innocent citizens were waylaid, abducted and killed indiscriminately would no longer be tolerated. Discussing of Nigerian politics, the National Assembly has concluded work on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill rejected thrice by President Muhammadu Buhari. Members of the Joint Committee on Electoral and Political Matters said in a joint resolution that all bottlenecks, including card reader and election sequence, have been addressed. Emmanuel Ehijene reports.
These are members of the National Assembly Committee on Electoral Matters. They say they have completed work on the contentious bill after a few days. The lawmakers say they have addressed all grey areas on the version which the president refused assent to, especially on issues of card reader and election sequence.
Section 152 over the competence of National Assembly to legislate for local government was deleted. So the second one is not happening. So the Nigerians are very glad to what transpired. The card reader was in this one. Now, having said this one was rejected, or when the assent was upheld. The assent was withheld on the 26th of July. On the 26th of July was when the assent was withheld. And the 26th, the Senate went on recess on the 24th, while the House of Reps went on recess on the 26th.
They say the fourth draft is carefully crafted with the president's objection in mind.
It had 14 clauses, 15 with a citation, an addendum, that means an addition to strengthen the second electoral act. Gentlemen, the electoral act here, to strengthen this one. So we now work on the third one on the 24th when the Senate was closing. While the House of Reps worked on theirs on the 26th, and they are forwarded to the executive on the 2nd of August. Meanwhile, now the third decline of assent came on the 3rd of September while we were in recess. We were in recess while this third one came. So therefore, gentlemen, what we wanted to achieve in the third bill was to strengthen the second one. That is all.
Members adopted clause by clause all the amended and deleted sections while the chairman read it out at the joint sitting. With this done, the National Assembly says it is on the same page with the executive and INEC on the 2019 general elections. What is now left is for the National Assembly to resume to consider and pass the bill. Emmanuel Ejine, PTV News, Abuja.
Federal lawmakers are optimistic that President Muhammadu Buhari would give his assent to the 4th Electoral Amendment Bill. This was after it was adopted by members of the Joint National Assembly Committee on Electoral and Political Matters. They say the optimism stemmed from the fact that the committee has addressed all issues raised by the President.
I am not Mr. President, but I can tell you that all of the concerns that I'm privy to that Mr. President raised has been addressed. And having addressed those concerns, we are now bringing one holistic and consolidated document. Unless and until he says otherwise, I don't know why he wouldn't want to sign. But having said that, the other issues that he raised are issues like drafting errors, drafting elegance, and so on and so forth. I'm sure at the end of the day, the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the Chief Legal Advisor, Mr. President, will take a look at that to be sure that all that we did, does not contain drafting errors. And I think once Mr. President is satisfied, he will sign.
Well, you've heard all the various copies of the various amendments and all the areas where there are a sort of a consign from the executive arm, which the chairman explicitly read out during the meeting. So I don't think there's any ambiguity. There's no any ambiguity. The most important thing is that politics itself, it's all about lobbying, negotiation, understanding, consensus. And there's been a lot of misconception, especially in the part of the general public, as if something is going on in the National Assembly. As members of the committees and, of course, the members of the parliamentary support group, we went deep to get involved in the process. And really, nobody has any hidden agenda. It's been a situation of communication, maybe hitches, problem between the National Assembly and the executive arm of government. But again, both sides are on the same page, and we've met in a very comfortable juncture. And I think most of the issues now have been addressed, and I'm pretty sure that we are not going to have any issue moving forward.
I am not Mr. President, but I can tell you that
the Sokoto State Governor and PDP presidential hopeful Aminu Tambuwal says he will accept the outcome of the party's presidential primary. Tambuwal stated this in Benin Kebbi when he met party delegates as part of his familiarization visit ahead of the primary. He promised to address the security challenges in Zamfara, Benin Gwari, Kaduna, Benue, Taraba, as well as Kebbi if elected president. Ahead of the People's Democratic Party presidential primary, top contender Senator David Mark has warned against compromising the process. He insisted that the process has to be free, fair, credible and transparent regardless of whether it would be consensus or delegate election. Senator Mark told PDP members in Lokoja, Kogi State that whichever process is chosen by the party to elect its flag bearer, the will of the people must prevail. He said he welcomes innovation, but such must be anchored on the general interest of the people. Senator Mark added that he was contesting the presidential election because he could make a positive difference. PDP State Chairman Sam Ohotu said Senator Mark has a rich credential that qualifies him to be elected president of Nigeria. He also promised to canvass for Mark as the preferred choice for the presidential ticket. Still in Nigeria politics, the coalition of political parties has accused the All Progressive Congress of hatching a fresh plot against the leadership of the National Assembly. The coalition of parties opposed to the ruling APC said through its spokesperson Ikenga Ugochinyere that the federal government was seeking a court order for the reopening of both chambers of the National Assembly by 1/3 of its members. Ugochinyere said the court order was meant to pave way for what he described as a violent change of the National Assembly with security agencies. He said, quote, CUPP has been informed that the plot also includes the police inviting the leadership of the National Assembly just before the controversial ruling and their subsequent detention with a black market injunction from a magistrate court, thereby paving way for unlawful and violent change of the leadership of the Senate and the House of Representatives, unquote. The CUPP added that the plan also includes inviting the leadership of the National Assembly and subsequently detaining them before the ruling will be handed out to pave way for the leadership change. But the APC has dismissed the coalition's claims as, quote, rejected templates which the PDP is known for, unquote. The party said, through its spokesperson, Yekini Nabena, that it is a last-ditch attempt to prevent the reconvening of the National Assembly. APC described CUPP as a sponsored group being used by what he described as the outgoing minority leadership. The ruling party said a few people cannot hold the legislative arm of government to ransom. The Christian Association of Nigeria has accused President Muhammadu Buhari of unduly favoring Muslims from northern Nigeria in federal appointments. The Christian body was reacting to 3 of the latest appointments approved by Buhari in different federal agencies. The body, in a statement, claimed that the federal government has repeatedly denied that Buhari's appointments favor any particular section of the country, saying proponents of such did not take a holistic review of the president's appointments. According to Khan, the explanation is, however, not calmed the Christian body and many other Nigerians who make the accusations. The wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, has charged women to increase their participation in politics. She wants them to do so by vying for elective position in the 2019 general election. Ms. Buhari spoke at the 55th anniversary and relaunch of Jami'aya Matan Arewa in Kaduna, the state capital. The Independent National Electoral Commission has reiterated its commitment to resist vote buying in Osun and elsewhere. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakub gave the assurance at a stakeholders forum ahead of Saturday's governorship election. And over to Benue politics, where the governor, Samuel Ortom, has dismissed claims of betrayal by Senator Barnabas Gemadi. The senator also defected to the Social Democratic Party after accusing Ortom of betraying him a few months after he left APC for PDP. But speaking through his special advisor on media and ICT, Tahav Azegzwa, the governor said he has no capacity to compel PDP delegates to vote for Gemadi. Still in Benue State, the Benue State House of Assembly on Tuesday approved a loan request of 3.5 billion naira forwarded to it by Governor Samuel Ortom. The loan is to be used for electrification projects and road construction work across the state. Motion for the approval was moved by Deputy Speaker Egli Ahubi, who lamented the deplorable state of roads across Benue State. Deputy Majority Leader Sule Audu seconded the motion and appealed to his colleagues to endorse the request for the benefit of Benue people. The Benue State chapter of the People's Democratic Party may be sitting on a time bomb at the moment. This is because members are threatening the unity of the party following the recent decamping of the state governor, Samuel Ortom, to the party. And over to Oyo politics, where 6 members of the Oyo State House of Assembly have defected from Labour Party to different parties in the chamber. Letters announcing the defections were read on the floor of the House on Tuesday by the Clerk of the Assembly, Paul Bankole. Among the defectors were the Speaker, Wumi Oladeji, and Solomon Olukayode, who both left the Labour Party for the All Progressive Congress. Benga Oyekola and Peter Oyetunji, also of the Labour Party, defected to the ADC and PDP, respectively. The minority leader of the House, Ademola Ige, and Fatai Adeshina, who were also Labour Party members, joined the colleagues in ADC. The judges of the Federal High Court have warned to resist its external influence by politicians as they resume for their activities in the new legal year. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onogen, made the call at the 34th Conference of Judges of the Federal High Court of Nigeria. He was represented by Supreme Court Judge Iyango Okoro.
It's day 2 of the opening ceremony of the new legal year of the Federal High Court judges. These judges at this conference are from the Federal High Court divisions nationwide. Having resumed from its annual break, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onogen, appears to be more concerned with the pre- and post-election matters. He was represented by Supreme Court Judge Iyango Okoro.
The recent appointment of 9 judges to the Federal High Court bench and the recent workshop organized by the National Judicial Institute for Registrars, Chief Registrars, Deputy Chief Registrars, Secretaries of Judicial Service Commissions and Committees with the theme Applying Best Practices in Court Administration are all indications that we are positioned to deliver world-class services to the citizens of this country. I am optimistic that the impact of this boost to the capacity of the court will be felt by a nation that looks to the courts for quality justice delivery. Your conference will be a forum for ideas and strategies for improved justice delivery that can compete favorably on the world stage.
For these senior lawyers, the CJN's message is apt, considering the political transition ahead.
One of the greatest problems we have in the country is the slow pace of judicial decision making. We pray that the Federal High Court should rise to that challenge and for the first time tackle very strongly the problem of slow trial process in this country. It's killing the economy, it's killing investment, it's killing every known form of civilization. We should, for the first time, deal with it in this new legal year.
As we have all seen, it's the election year, the election season. So we expect a lot of activities going on in the courts everywhere throughout the country. And so my wish for them is that God will give them wisdom, God will be with them and allow them to dispense justice without fear or favor in this new legal year. And as the Honorable Chief Judge has said, we should be careful about giving ex parte orders at this time, particularly in political matters.
The Judges' Conference is the peak of preparations for the new legal year of the Federal High Court. Emmanuel Bagudu, PTV News, Abuja.
The National Population Commission has made an appeal for support from security agencies and government bodies for effective field work. It made the appeal as this year's Nigeria's demographic and health survey kicks off. And on economy, the Buhari Media Organization says the Nigerian economy is more bullish, viable and stable under President Muhammadu Buhari, contrary to the bleak picture painted by the HSBC. The group stated this through Buhari's strategic policies of diversifying the economy and creating a positive atmosphere for industrialization and rejuvenation of mobile non-oil sectors. It said in a statement by its chairman, Niyi Akinsuju, that the Buhari administration came with a mandate to revive an economy that was lifeless and lacking prospect and now giving Nigeria a real economy. BMO described HSBC's position, one filled with unverified and vicious opinions, and argued that Buhari's second coming would be a consolidation for the foundation he has laid in his first tenure. It pointed that the Anchor Borrowers program, that is providing low-interest loans to indigent farmers, and the social investment program as concepts that are placing disposable cash in the hands of the poorest Nigerians. Meanwhile, an Abuja economist, Paul Alaje, says comments by the banking giants like HSB on the Nigerian economy should be taken seriously. Alaje said this earlier on PTV's Situation Room. He, however, added that he disagrees with the bank's direct attack on the presidency.
Now, HSBC, when such bank says something about the economy, we need to take their report with a lot of care, with a lot of caution. I would say this to you. In 2016, some institution told us what we need to do to remain on JP Morgan's list. We said, no, it's not important. Those are Americans. Those are British. We don't need them. Eventually, we were out of JP Morgan's list. We lost tens of billions of dollars. The fall in the stock market was unprecedented. As if that were not enough, a lot of investment in Nigeria were moved abroad. That aided the fall of Naira to the dollar. The country was in economic turmoil of some sort because we made one bad economic policy, coupled with the fact that we're in the middle of recession, where crude oil prices was low, and that was the mainstay of the economy. Now, HSBC is saying that if you vote President Muhammadu Buhari, I don't think they should be that direct as to who to vote for or not to vote for. If I were in their shoes, I would have analyzed policy. So when we ask the question that this bank is saying that if we continue in this direction, listen, economic betterment or economic progression is not just about a person or a person's name. It's about combination of policy. And I will tell you, this government came with wonderful document called Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. And it's expected that all states of the Federation will key into that. Only 4 have keyed into it. So you're wondering why ERGP is projecting 3.5% GDP growth rate. And what you could see is less than half of that, which is 1.5, population growth rate 2.7%, but the kind of growth you have is only 1.5%. So definitely you are not growing.
Still on economy, the central bank has sustained its intervention in the interbank foreign exchange market by injecting $210 million into various segments of the market. CBN spokesman Isaac Okorafor said the Apex Bank offered $100 million as wholesale interventions and allocated $55 million to small and medium enterprises. He said another $55 million was allocated to customers requiring foreign exchange for business and personal travels, tuition or medical fees. Meanwhile, the Naira on Tuesday exchanged for 361 Naira to $1, the Bureau of the Change segment of the market in Abuja. Trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed on a positive note on Tuesday, with Nestle leading the price gainers table. The market indicators appreciated marginally by 0.55% growth. The market capitalization rose 65 billion naira to close at 11.821 trillion naira against 11.756 trillion naira recorded on Monday. The all-share index appreciated by 179.02 points or 0.55 points to close higher at 32,381.00 from the 32,201.98 posted on Monday. Nestle led the price gainers table with a gain of 30.50 naira to close at 1 naira per share. And if you are watching PTV tonight, keep up with the news by downloading our app PTV Nigeria on iOS or Android. You can watch us on the go and have real-time notifications anywhere in the world. You can also watch us live at www.ptvng.com/live. It's time for a quick break. Still to come, Italian court set to rule on Nigeria oil graft case. Don't go away.
Soldiers helping Nigerian forces fight Boko Haram.
We will have to persuade Nigerian legislators.
This is coming together of people who are confused.
Executive order should comply with the law. I personally dissociate myself completely.
From this interview, because you have there had hardly been any administration.
No religious body in Nigeria validate the claims by the INEC chairman. It is
a big pond, but lights, camera, action, and we go beyond. This is our time, we on MTN Impulse. No, we refuse, so now we can wave our banner. Yo, get ready for what we have to offer from Texas Sports.
We got it on Impulse.
I say science.
We got it on Impulse.
Silence and games.
We got it on Impulse. And what?
Yo,
Impulse.
the stage is set, so let's own it. They say be this, they say be that, but all we want to be is just us, man. Facts.
Yes, it's warm.
Buy an MTN SIM and dial *344# to unleash their potential. MTN Impulse. Learn, play, shine everywhere you go.
Thanks for staying. Starting off with foreign scene, an Italian judge will this week rule on one of the energy industry's biggest corruption scandals involving Nigeria. Two oil majors, Shell and Eni, are embroiled in a long-running graft case revolving around the 2011 purchase of one of Africa's biggest oil fields in OPL 245 for about $1.3 billion. And off to Niger, where an Italian priest has been kidnapped in South Niger near the border with Burkina Faso. It is the second abduction of the European in the West African country this year. There is no immediate claim of responsibility for the kidnapping, which was confirmed on Tuesday by the Nigerian and Italian government. The kidnapping took place in a village of Bomanga in the southern Makolondi district, about 125 kilometers from the capital, Niamey. In a statement on Tuesday, Niamey's Archbishop Laurent Lompo said Father Pierre Lugi was attacked and abducted by unidentified individuals on Monday evening. Makali had been working in Bomanga for 11 years as a member of the Society of African Missions, a Roman Catholic missionary organization. On the Syrian war, the Israeli military has rejected claims its fighter jet indirectly caused the Russian military plane to be shot down by Syrian anti-aircraft fire. In a statement on Tuesday, the Israeli army said it holds Syria, Iran and Lebanon's responsible for the incident in which 15 Russian crew members were killed. After the shootdown, Moscow placed the blame on Israel, saying Israeli fighter jets were mounting air attacks on Syrian targets at the time and only gave Moscow 1 minute warning. This, they say, put the Russian aircraft in crossfire. And off to Ethiopia, where the police in the Oromia region have arrested 265 individuals in connection with a deadly attack on civilians and property damage on the outskirts of Addis Ababa. 23 people have been confirmed dead, while 886 others have left their homes as the attack drove residents to flee and seek refuge in schools and other public facilities. According to Regional State Police Commissioner, the arrested 269 suspects are now under police custody as they beat to bring the perpetrators to justice. He also reviewed the police had seized various arms with individuals who are arrested in connection with the deadly ethnic-based attack. Thousands of people on Monday protested against the killing of civilians and property damage, urging the Ethiopian government to take action and protect civilians. China has hit back at President Donald Trump by imposing new trade tariffs on $60 billion of American goods. It comes after the U.S. slapped duties on $200 billion of Chinese imports on Monday, escalating its trade war with Beijing. China will target American goods such as liquefied natural gas, which are produced in states loyal to the U.S. president. But Trump tweeted a warning to Beijing against seeking to influence the upcoming U.S. midterm elections. Staff of McDonald's restaurants in 10 U.S. cities have staged a walkout over claims the fast food giant is not doing enough to prevent sexual harassment. The strike comes after 25 women filed complaints against the chain, alleging it failed to enforce company rules against abuse. The women said they were ignored after reporting incidents including groping, indecent exposure and lewd comments. McDonald's said there was no place for harassment in its restaurant. Organizers said the strike would target multiple restaurants in cities including Chicago, Los Angeles and Miami. It is a thought that several hundred staff will walk out. In the world of sports, starting off with football, Super Eagles defender Shehu Abdullahi says it will dole out 200,000 naira to his home club, Sokoto United, in spite of the team's Aedo Cup exit. Abdullahi, on his Twitter handle @official Shehu, last week promised to give out 100,000 naira for each goal scored by the team in the round of 32 match against Kano Pillars on Sunday. On the same handle, he congratulated Kano Pillars and hoped that the Sokoto side gain promotion to the Nigerian Professional Football League next season. On international football, Arsenal's chief executive Ivan Gazidis will leave on October 31st to take up a similar post at AC Milan. The Premier League club announced on Tuesday, after weeks of speculation, suggestions that Gazidis, who oversaw Unai Emery's appointment to replace Arsene Wenger in May, will depart for Italy, has been ripe for some time. Now the move has been confirmed with Raul Salehi, currently Arsenal's head of football relations, set to become head of football. Arsenal's chief commercial officer Vinal will take over the role of managing director at the same point. Gazidis has reportedly been offered $3.6 million a year, that is equivalent to £1 million increase in his present salary, and an equity stake in the club by Milan's new American owner, Elliott Management. Raheem Sterling's long-term future at Manchester City will be secured within the next fortnight, with a new contract talks to get underway. Tahiki will hold talks with Sterling's representative before the end of September. Sterling is out of contract in June 2020, and City have no option to extend his stay at the Etihad for another 12 months. The England international signed for the current Premier League champion in 2015 from Liverpool and has since made 144 appearances in all competitions, scoring 47 goals. He was also a key member of Gareth Southgate's England squad, who made it to the World Cup semi-final in Russia this summer. Sterling has 3 Premier League goals so far this season. In Formula One, Formula One's owners have signed a deal to sell sponsorship rights to betting companies. The deal with Inter-Regional Sports Group, reportedly worth more than $100 million, will allow Formula One to develop in-play betting markets during Grand Prix. Formula One will also work with Sportradar to monitor betting-related fraud. Managing Director Sean Brachis says the deal would give fans new ways to encourage with the sport. And that's all on the news, but do remember you can get more news updates on www.ptvng.com/live or via our app PTV Nigeria on iOS and Android. Thank you so much for staying with us. On behalf of PTV News production crew, it has been a pleasure. I am Aisha Jibrin.
tribal mark is the scratching, etching, burning, or cutting designs, pictures, or words into the skin as a permanent body notification or modification.
The practice of tribal marks have been in existence for hundreds of years, and they are not peculiar to Nigeria, not even Africa. During the transatlantic slave trade, tribal identification and facial stripes became important as many repatriated slaves later reunited with their communities by looking at facial stripes.
The major purpose of tribal marks is for identification of a tribe, family, or patrilineal heritage, symbols of beauty, creativity, and keeping of mischievous people alive, which is known as Ila Abiku among the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria.
Yorubas trace the origin of tribal mark to a certain king named Shango, who sent 2 slaves to a distant country for an important mission. When the slaves returned, Shango, the king, found that one slave had achieved successfully what he had been sent to do, while the other had accomplished nothing. The king therefore rewarded the first with high honors and ordered the second to receive 122 razor cuts all over his body, which was to serve as a punishment for flaunting the king's assignments.
But when the scars healed, the appearance of the face of the slave was remarkable, which gave the slave a greatly elegant look, which took the fancy of the king's wives.
Shango therefore ordered that cuts should in future be given not as punishment, but as a sign of royalty, and he placed himself at once in the hands of his subjects to get the marks. However, he could only bear 2 cuts, and so from that day, 2 cuts on the arm have been a sign of royalty. This then introduced various other cuts as marks to different tribes.
In traditional Yoruba societies, every child is born into a patrilineal clan called Idile Baba in Yoruba language. The clans share clan names, Orile or Oriki, which means poetry or taboos, Ewo, and facial marks, Ila.
The facial marks on the child assigns the child full clan membership rights. The children with facial marks are called Okola. Families or individuals lacking the normal features consistent with the tribe are not considered as acquiring full standing as agents in Yoruba society. They would also lack the capacity for meaningful behavior such as greeting.
Each tribe of the Yoruba ethnic group had different inscription patterns which appears in different sizes and shapes at different locations within the face or body. The location and position of the mark's inscription depends on the tribe and culture. The tribal marks could be inscribed on the breast, arm, lap, or buttocks, but they are usually on the face.
Popular among the Yoruba tribal marks are Bele. The Bele style is 3 longitudinal lines inscribed on the cheeks. The variant includes Bele Ife. It is peculiar to the Ile Ife people. Bele Ijebu and Bele Ijesha are other variants of Bele. Owu tribal marks consist of 6 incisions on each side of the cheeks and peculiar to the indigenes of Owu, an historical city in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, Nigeria. The Owu tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Gombo style, also known as Keke, consists of multiple straight and curved lines about a ½ an inch apart inscribed on the cheeks on both sides of the mouth. Indigenes of Ogbomoso in Oyo State are usually identified by the Gombo or Keke style of tribal marks.
Abaja can be both a basic and also a complex style. It is basic from its either 3 or 4 horizontal stripes on the cheeks. The Abaja style also consists of 12 horizontal lines, 6 lines per cheek. It is often referred to as Abaja Alafin Mefa. The Abaja style of Yoruba tribal mark was inscribed on the cheeks of Lamidi Adeyemi II. The Alafin Oyo. Other Yoruba tribal marks include Ture, Mande, Bamu, and Jangbadi.
The use of tribal mark as a means of identification and visification among the Yoruba tribe is no longer a norm, and some Yoruba states have enacted certain laws that prohibit the use of marks. Violators of the law are liable to fines or imprisonment or both. In Oyo State, for example, the prohibition of tribal marks is an integral part of the state child rights law, a law that imposes a fine of 1 month imprisonment or both for violation. According to the law, no person shall tattoo or make a skin mark or cause any tattoo or skin mark to be made on a child.
Prominent people with tribal marks include Olusegun Obasanjo, Lamidi Adeyemi II, Ayo Fayose, Adegboyega Dosumu, Amororo I, and Christopher Alao Akala, Alpha Begore, and King Sunny Ade, to mention but a few.